All right. Should be live on YouTube right now. Hope you guys are all doing well. Um, Make sure that you guys subscribe to this and share this out. Tag some people that need to see this and comment below where you guys are coming in from. Would love to hear what's stopping you from investing in small apartment buildings today. We're going to be talking about it, so it's going to be a great opportunity for you put in the comments below, like what's stopping you or any questions that you may have for Grant or myself. And this is going to be an awesome episode. I'm really stoked for it. This is something that can totally change your life over the compound of success moving forward with it. And so tag a business partner, a friend, family, a significant other, share this out to them. And yeah, excited to dive in with you guys. Grant, you ready?
Let's do it, man. Yeah, excited.
All right, let's do this. All right, let me get this ready. I need to get my steps in while I'm
I
while
like
I'm
it.
doing this so I feel productive.
Now you make me feel bad, man. I'm
No,
just
you're
sitting here.
good. You're good.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to it. Welcome back, everyone, and welcome to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Brandon Elliott. I'm excited today. We got somebody that's been in the game for about 10 years now, jumped in December 2014, and has done some seller financing, options of purchasing, has really fell in love with the small apartment building concept, right? Self-manages these projects and has done tremendously well over the years doing exactly that. And so we want to kind of dive in, pick his brain, and see exactly the learning curves, why apartment buildings. Has 20 units, 11 units, 8 units, and a duplex as well right now. And I think coming from the residential multifamily to the smaller, bigger, more on the commercial side, smaller apartment building complex, like that's where it can really start adding up, and the number of doors, the number of profits, and so forth, it all just starts increasing. Plus the cost segregations and so forth that you can take advantage of tax wise. It can really be a no brainer. So I'm excited to be able to have you on here today. Grant, how we doing today, brother?
Good, man. Yeah, I'm excited to be here, man. I love the YouTube live too as we're doing this.
Let's
This is
go.
fantastic, dude.
Yeah, of course, man. I'm excited. So,
Yeah.
talk to us for any listeners out there that don't know who you are, where you're from, what you're up to. Do you mind just
Yeah.
giving that 30,000 foot view for us?
Yeah, I'm a guy that hated having a boss. I mean, that's basically it. That's what drove all this. Yeah, I mean, that's where a lot of people start, but a lot of
Yeah.
people don't finish where we have finished or gone. Not that we're finished, but I
Yep.
needed a way out, and real estate was that. I lived in Detroit, Michigan, construction worker for 24 years.
Mm.
Always transitioned to try to get out of that. Started investing in apartment or single family rentals. My wife and I, I'm trying to give you the 1,000 foot view, 10,000 foot view. I became a director of operations. I quit that the construction job, became director of operations for a property management company. I oversaw 800 units. I've done over 100 rehabs. And my wife and I realized pretty quick that, we'd have to own 50 single family homes spread out all across Southeast Michigan if we were going to be able to cash flow $10,000 a month.
Just a couple, right? Just a couple.
Yeah, yeah. And that, I
That's
mean, even
ridiculous.
saying that right now, it's like, oh my gosh, what a hassle. So that's why we switched to apartment buildings.
Yeah.
And I mean, the rest is history. It sounds easy, but there's so much I've learned and failures and successes along that way. And now we live in St. Petersburg, Florida, thanks to what we've done. And apartments have given us true freedom. Like I can do what I want, and not a lot of people get to experience that in life.
Yeah.
And you really think you are free until something happens and your job tells you you need to do this, or your
Yeah.
government says you have to take this action. And then you realize I am not free. So that was one of the things a few years ago that really opened my eyes to what, like, wow, I'm truly free. So it's an incredible, incredible feeling. So I mean, I just recommend wherever you can, start doing something, whether it's real estate investing, start small, start wherever you need to start, but just start doing something and put a 5-year plan in place.
I love that. Talk to me. You're mentioning free. What does the day to day look like for you? Because a lot of people can't picture even that aspect of freedom, right? They can't
Yeah.
figure out. Some people, they say like, "Hey, if I win the lottery, or once I make this thing successful and I sell my company, whatever it may be, they picture themselves being on the beach."
Yeah.
How long can you be on the beach for is my question afterwards. It's going to get old after a while. You're going to need to find something that you're passionate about, something that aligns with your core values. So what does that look like for you, for your freedom, and what you've built for life, by design for you?
Yeah, and you always need to be creating. You hear about those guys that retire and die 2 months later, right?
Yeah.
Because they have no purpose. That's gone. They had
Yes.
purpose in that job. People looked up to them. They felt important. All of a
Yep.
sudden, that's taken away. And
Yep.
and that's the same thing. You have to create. And for me, here's our morning. My wife and I wake up together. We go for a walk. We eat breakfast together. She does her thing. I come and do mine. I create. I'm a content creator. That is my main job now. I love it. I have a course. I teach people how to buy small apartment buildings, 5 to 20 units. And that's fantastic. But I love creating content around that. And I even started creating. If you've ever seen some of my stuff, I do a lot of real estate stuff. But recently I've pivoted out of that. I'm like, you know what? I enjoy making content about stuff I enjoy, and it doesn't have to be real estate. So on YouTube at Grant Warrington, I've just started making a lot of content on things that are like excite me or things that I would bring up at the dinner table. I
Yeah.
found myself not wanting, I didn't bring up investing in apartments and that at the dinner table. I wanted to talk about, I can't believe this is happening. Like, for instance, there's, I'm just looking at this. The state of Michigan is trying to still get COVID era funding through because they are still paying um, tenants rent from COVID. And now
Oh my God.
107 people have jobs with government now because of this. And they need about $12 million a year so that they can continue this process. I was blown away. Like, I
Yeah.
had no idea that that still existed. And coming from Michigan,
Yeah.
they've created these jobs for people. And the problem is when you give these people these incentives, which they
Yeah.
were very great things in the beginning, 100% agree with it.
Sure.
But I'm just shocked it's still there. And it's hard to get people off that once you get them on it. So things like that, it just blows my mind. And it's stuff like that I like to create about. But the beautiful thing is I have the freedom to be able to do that. And, really, that's really what my day looks like. It's that, the gym, and then spending time with my wife and whatever with friends, things like that. Down here, I belong. I'm in GoBundance, a men's group.
Yep.
We hang out, do a ton of stuff together. So
Love it.
really, that's what it is. Just whatever I want my day to look like.
Yeah. So you're constantly investing in yourself as well, getting around high level communities. Go Abundance is an amazing community as well.
Yeah.
And just brotherhood of
Yep.
individuals. So love that. Um, yeah, and like you were saying, when it comes down to COVID or other things in the past that were, catastrophic things that we
Yeah.
didn't see coming on, it was awesome how there were temporary solutions and things
Yep.
in place to help at the time. But unfortunately, some of us get very complacent and then and feel like entitled to it after a while, and now we're 4 years plus later and we're still asking for it. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I couldn't agree more. Talk to me when it comes down to real estate. You jumped in 2014 of December. Why?
Yeah. Well, let me go back. I mean, we got a minute. I'll
Yeah.
tell you the truth. Like my whole thing is I used to watch content and be like, oh wow, this guy owns 10,000 units and blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, and whatever. And you need to put washer and dryers in every unit. You need to do all these things. And you know what I mean? And I bought a building, was like, wait a minute, a lot of this stuff is incorrect. So
Yep.
I thought, I'm just going to make content about the truth, even though there's a lot of shit that I don't like that happened in my life.
Yeah.
It happened because of me. And I take responsibility for that. And I like to share it because it's a good learning lesson for me. So I bought real estate in 2001. I bought 3 houses. They were giving away loans back then. I took
Yeah.
3 of them, and
Yeah.
it's the truth.
Yep.
They were giving them away. It was before the crash. And I thought, I'm going to be a good landlord. I'm going to help people out at Christmas. I'm going to tell them they don't owe rent. I'm like, this is going to be fantastic. I'll give them a month at Christmas. They don't have to pay. I never made it to Christmas. Unfortunately, none of them paid. I didn't know how to screen people. I bought Carlton Sheets, How to Buy Property with No Money Down. I don't know if you remember that or not,
Yep.
in the early 90s. I never listened to one of his tapes. I just bought because I could. Didn't
Yep.
know what I was doing. Everybody owed me $5,000. I wasn't working at the time, had to pay my mortgage payment, took a home equity loan line of credit out on my personal home for $28,000, paid on all these mortgages just to keep it alive and going. And finally it crashed and burned.
Mhm.
And I had to declare bankruptcy. Luckily it was all my money. It was all my money, nobody else's.
Yep.
But it hurt, man. It hurt. I was sick. It was literally killing me.
Mm.
And the other thing I had going or not going for me at the time was I
Yeah.
had a bad drinking problem back then
Yep.
too. So when you put all those things together, it was a nightmare. So, I don't blame my tenants, or even the guy that brought me those deals. Looking back now, it's just interesting, the kind of person I found that I thought was a mentor. But
Yeah.
again, not all mentors are good, but I
Mhm.
did learn lessons from him.
Yeah.
But you know what? It was all on me. I didn't do the due diligence. I didn't educate myself. I had that drinking problem. So 2007, everything was finalized. 2011, I quit drinking with the help of God. Slowly, my life started to change.
Let's go.
And then in 2014, I met my wife. And then
Yeah.
that's when she said, I've always wanted to own real estate. And I said, oh my gosh, look at all these books I have. Look at that's been my dream too. And it was tough. We had no money doing it.
Yep.
We got up to 11 units in 2 years. And it was hard. We bought with credit card debt. We would find a 18-month credit card, with interest only, or I'm
Yep.
sorry,
0%
0%
interest.
interest.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on,
And
man.
so we called the credit card company. We told them, send us all the money and put it
Yep.
in our bank account.
Yep.
And they did that. Then we took out personal loans, one in my name, one in her name. We bought a house with those. So our goal was to buy properties with no debt on them.
Sure.
And we did that with no mortgages. And then we refinanced those properties. Then we'd pay off the crazy debt. We'd get the money. And, that's how we'd move forward, right? It's just the giant burr method, but we
Yep.
would do it into a blanket loan, right? We'd do 3 properties at a time, fix them up, put tenants in them, and then refinance into a blanket loan.
Was there any specific reason 3? Is there some magic number with that or something that we don't know about?
The banks wanted to see 3 as like a minimum. And that's
Okay.
what I had found a new mentor. And that's what he said. He's like, do as many as you can.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, 3 was about the most we could do.
Okay.
So that was,
And that was the least that the bank would allow.
yeah, they didn't want to do 2. They wouldn't do
Okay.
1, right? They
Yep.
wouldn't do a
Yep.
commercial loan on
Yep.
1. So 3 they were comfortable with. So that's why we
Okay.
did 3.
Cool. I love it. And then were there specific banks that you like dealing with when it comes down to those blanket loans?
Yeah, 100%. So what we did was we found, for credit unions always. So
Yeah.
Chase Bank, don't even waste your time. They're not going to
Yep.
want to deal with you. But find a credit union, and you need to find somebody that's going to keep the loans in-house, right? They're not going to sell them. Yeah. So it's hard to find that. So at first we found one. The terms were very bad. We didn't know any better. We were just happy to find one. But what we did after that was we found a commercial mortgage broker. Just think of when you buy a house, for the people listening, you talk to a guy, he takes all your information and he shops around to different banks to find you the
Sure.
best mortgage, or he should.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
Always, but
yeah,
yeah.
not always, but that's what a commercial mortgage broker does. He
Yep.
has relationships with all these different credit unions. And I tell him, this is what I need. And he says, listen, I did 60 million with this credit union. I have a good relationship with them. I think I can get you the terms you're looking for with this credit union. So he
Yep.
goes to bat for me, and he gets a 0.5 to 1% depending. So obviously he's got to make money on the deal. And that is the best way we've found, is to leverage that relationship with a commercial mortgage broker.
Love it. Okay, awesome. And then so when you started actually um like you used credit cards originally, same
Mhm.
here. I'm very big in the credit card space. Love getting credit, 0%
Nice.
interest. That's the
Yep.
best way to do it. So you would utilize that to purchase the properties or complete the renovations or both.
It would depend. Back then, whatever it was, like on the one specifically I told you about where we called to get the 10 grand, we put
Yeah,
that in, we used that to purchase it cash.
gotcha.
So the property was like 53,000. It was a 3 unit close to Detroit, not in Detroit. I can speak about Detroit here in a minute, but it was close enough where we could buy a triplex for 53,000 back in 2016.
Yep.
And turns out it was a pretty decent deal. But yeah, we use that just to buy the property.
Okay, awesome. And then so talk to us about location for a second because last several years I've been hearing good things about people wanting to go to Detroit,
Yeah.
or at least I would say before rates started going up and so forth, I would hear a lot more people talking about like, hey, let's jump into Detroit. The numbers are great.
Yeah.
While I'm looking at the whole nation and it's like all numbers are great. You know, it's like we're on this projected rise here for real estate, that is. So
Yeah.
talk to me. Is that the only location you guys are investing in, or what are your thoughts about Detroit?
Well, we don't invest in Detroit. So we lived south of Detroit, a city called Trenton, and
Okay,
probably 20 minutes south of there. That's where we invested. That's where we lived. We
sure.
had all 41 units right tight around us. So it was fantastic.
Yeah,
But Detroit is that first 3 units in this, it was in a city called Lincoln Park. It was a few blocks outside of Detroit, but it was a low barrier to entry because it was less expensive. But the problem is, and a lot of people, like you said, look at Detroit proper, the city exactly, and say, wow, I can buy a house for $20,000, right? And the problem people don't realize is because when you look on paper, you live in California, you're looking at a house for 20 grand, you're like, dude, I can buy 6 of these. Like, boom,
yeah,
this is awesome, right?
yeah. I just bought one the other day. It was 1.2 million. It's a little different. They're all a million plus out here. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. So in Detroit, people get excited. They're like, yeah, I can buy this on paper. It's great. Here's the problem. One, you're going to have a tough time finding a good property management company, one that's been around for years. Detroit is tough. The owner doesn't want to make repairs. Very tough tenant base. When you buy a house in Detroit for 20 grand, you're going to get somebody. When you fix it up, it might be worth 80. And it might be worth 80 for the next 50 years.
yep,
When you fix that home up, you're going to get people that have to live in the city of Detroit. That's
yep,
your tenant base. You're not going to live there, and I'm not going to live there because it's unsafe. It's, to walk down the street at night is something you're probably not going to want to do. Now, Detroit changes street by street. So you have to know Detroit well. There's successful people that invest in Detroit. They know Detroit, lived in Detroit, are extremely familiar with Detroit, and they know don't invest on this street, but this street over here is good. You'll
yep,
have a you'll have a good street with $800,000 homes like Indian Village, and a block or two over, you'll have burned down houses.
wow,
And it can be very bad. So if you don't know what you're doing, you can get burned very bad. The other thing is none of my contractors would go to Detroit because their tools get stolen
yep,
and it's unsafe. So they wouldn't go there. The other thing, I sold 2 houses in the city of Detroit for my friend who is an investor who said, I am done with this, dude.
yeah,
Uh, I'm done with all of it. So we got the tenant out. I sold the houses. Each house, the furnace and the hot water tank got stolen out of both houses. And I was like, I'm done. I'm not selling any more houses in Detroit because that's what happens.
yep,
They'll go in and steal your stuff if it's vacant. So you have to put somebody in the home so it doesn't sit vacant, or you have to
yep,
put, I think dogs, or they call it, it goes over the windows and doors to keep people out, or actual dogs, animals.
yeah,
It's a whole different ball game. So I caution people, if you don't know what you're doing, the numbers look great on paper, but it can be a big nightmare. I suggest push out to the cities surrounding it.
sure,
And like I said, Lincoln Park, Michigan, that's where we did. We got in, we bought some houses there, and then we said, it was still a tough tenant base. And we said, is this something we want to hold for the next 10 years, these properties? And the answer was no. So we said, okay, we'll sell those and we'll upgrade. We got a
yep,
little closer to where we lived. And that's how it went. We're constantly wanted to upgrade our product, but we had to get in where we could get in.
Sure. Did you do a 1031 exchange on those
Yeah.
or what you did? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you
So
bundle it or what did that look like?
yeah, so we had three, I think we sold one house outright to our tenant.
Sure.
So that was great. She was, living there, so it was great. We gave her a great deal on the property, and three others were in a blanket loan. So we ended up selling those three, and they went into the same bucket. The 1031 exchange, so people know, is so you can sit, it's like Monopoly, the little greenhouses, and you can level up to a red apartment building. It's
Yep.
exactly what we did.
Yep.
And with the 1031 exchange, you don't have to pay capital gains tax on that if you roll it into equal or like kind exchange or bigger. And
Yep.
that's
Great.
what we did.
Yep.
And we sold those three houses. That's a little more, it's a lot. It wasn't as easy as that sounds, but we did that. We have
Yeah.
45 days to identify the next property.
Yep.
And day 43, an 8-unit building hit the market, apartment building, and I
Wow.
had it under contract in 4 hours because I teach people how to find off-market apartment buildings. So I had already walked that building because it was open. The old owner left the building open, and I had walked through it. I went there and just walked through it months
Yeah.
before that. Um, I had tried calling the owner, but I always try to find off-market buildings. So I was familiar with it. So when this one hit the market, I knew what it needed. I already own property in the area.
Yeah.
So I was able to just say, hey, I'll give you X amount. I had 2 days left on my 1031 exchange, or it would have cost me $70,000 in taxes. So it was, I got very lucky.
I love that. And so in these areas, the reason you wanted to kind of get out is because it's not going to appreciate. You got a little bit of tax benefits, but really it's not much. And you're getting more cash flow, correct?
Yeah.
Did you have mortgages on these properties?
Yeah. We refinanced all of those without a
Into the
mortgage,
blanket. Yeah.
get the blanket that would give us money. Then we'd go buy more.
Yep.
And
So doing the
that's how
Burr strategy.
yeah. So we
And
had debt
then
on everything.
And then you had and there's a big difference between good debt and bad
Yeah.
debt, ladies and gentlemen. So like
Yeah.
obviously this is good debt and it's proper to so that you can keep scaling, right? That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
So in that phase though, when you're looking at properties for value add, forcing the appreciation and making it nicer, bringing more value to it, you have a construction background, correct? So were you doing any work yourself or you did hire out everything, correct?
So yeah, I hired everything out because listen, I was a crane operator.
Okay.
So that doesn't equate. I can't bring
Yeah,
my
yeah.
crane to the house and do work on it. Like,
Yeah, unless you want to tear that thing down. Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't, I mean, I could swing a hammer and I could do, but my problem is I'd get stuck and
Yep.
I wouldn't have a tool. I wouldn't know what to do.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it was not good for me to do it. I did get involved later on. I'm very good at looking at something and knowing how to fix it,
Okay.
but I'm also very good at delegating somebody to fix it. But
Yeah.
I can solve the problem. I just don't want to do it myself because I'm not as quick as somebody else.
Yeah, and I think it's a really amazing trait too to be like a visionary person or somebody
Yeah,
that can fix problems, like identify it
yeah,
and outsourcing it for somebody that is well qualified and at a pay grade that makes sense
yeah,
while you can elevate and really do more problem solving, move on to the next and really design the lifestyle that you'd like, which I love.
yeah,
So I think a lot of people do get stuck in that space of like, well, I know how to do it. Nobody can do it better than me. I'm saving money. And then they start doing that hands-on stuff. And and it really holds them back from true tremendous growth.
yeah. My buddy would ask me one time, years later, I did get involved because we couldn't find a handyman. And I'm
Yeah.
like, my wife's like, you're just going to have to do it. And then my buddy asked me, are you creating money or are you saving money? And
Yeah.
I said, I'm saving money. And he's like, dude, you're the money creator. Like you got to get out of that role. So
Yep.
that I was like, that's it. I'm done from now on. So I learned that it was a few months only,
Yep.
but it was a good
Very,
lesson.
Very similar. I ended up getting a high quote when some of my properties in Ohio originally getting started. High quote on a paint job, and I was like, "It's paint. Like anybody can do paint." So
Yeah.
me and my girlfriend at the time went over there. We started painting everything. We didn't get anywhere close to being finished because
Yeah.
we're rookies, not knowing what we're doing. We were making more of a mess than actually being productive, and we were lazy, so we wanted to go get lunch and like go out to
Yeah.
eat. It's just instead that time frame when I was over there for a full week, I could have actually just been networking, building relationships, and working on the business to be able to get the right people in there, get the better
Yeah.
quote that I need, whatever it may be. Instead, I traded my time and I still had to hire on that person to come back at
Yeah.
basically at the same rate to get it completed.
Yeah. And, I tell people, I teach people how to find contractors too, because they get stuck in that. You watch Instagram and all that. It looks
Yeah.
cool to, that's what we're going to do. We're going to work on our property. And it's
Yep.
not the right thing to do. So the one thing I would suggest with painters too is you go to Sherwin-Williams.
Yep.
This is what I always do. And I would ask them, hey, who are some good painters? And who are painters that work with property managers or apartment painters?
That's
Those are the
different.
painters you
That's
want to
good.
hire. Yeah,
Yes.
because you're going to get a quote from $10,000. You're going to get another for 5, and you'll get one for 1,200.
Yep.
How do you tell the difference? Well, apartment painters aren't working. They're not homeowner painters.
Yep.
They're quicker. They're in and out. But you can't pay $5,000 to paint an apartment unit, and you need to have people like that on your team, like Sherwin-Williams. They'll point them out. They'll help you. You can also go to Sherwin-Williams and ask them, hey, who are some handymen who are working on some projects around here? And they know the guys coming in buying paint, the guys
Yep.
that are dirt bags and
Yeah.
not doing a good job. And they know the
Stay
guys that
away.
are, yeah.
Yep.
And they'll help you out, man. That's how we found so many. I got a great relationship with Sherwin-Williams,
Nice.
and it's just from that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a great tip.
Great. Any other tips that you would give to the listeners
Yeah.
about finding other contractors and
Yeah.
other people to help, and just to kind of like aligning the scope of work and payment schedule, stuff like that. I've
Yeah.
always found myself, I will only pay with a credit card now. So if they don't accept credit cards, which a lot don't, so I
Yeah.
gotta teach them how to accept credit cards and
Yeah.
how it's beneficial for them. I'll pay the fees if needed, whatever it is, just to get that insurance policy behind it. Because I've paid with the 0% interest credit, but then also they in cash, but then they ran off and didn't do the job, And so I made
Yeah.
the rookie mistakes, all the stuff that we hear about on podcasts or books.
Yeah.
But what do you think would be beneficial to the listeners?
So I'll talk about the payment first, and then I'll
Yeah.
talk to about finding contractors, because I got a lot on this. So if you
Yeah.
guys are
Good.
listening, throw your questions in there too on YouTube.
Yep.
This is going to be gold. Don't tune out, man. This stuff is going to be great. I love this. I love talking about this, but throw your questions in there too. So payment, I tell these people, look, I supply the materials. I'm not going to, you're a painter, so I'm not going to give you paintbrushes and rollers.
Exactly.
That's on you. You're a painter, but I'm going to supply the paint. It'll be there when you're ready to go to work.
Yep.
I do not pay you upfront on labor.
Yep.
Why would I do that? You might not show up. So if they say, well, I need the best contractors you can find are the ones that go, hey, don't worry about it. Just pay me when I'm done.
Exactly.
Those guys run a good business, and you can
Yes.
trust them. Okay.
100%. Yep.
Because here's the thing I tell them too. You might disappear, but my house is not going to disappear, and you're going to be able to put a lien on my house.
Yep.
If I don't pay you. But if I pay you, I might never see you again. So I don't pay them. But if they give me kickback, I might meet them there the first day, and I'll give them a small draw, maybe a quarter. And I'll tell them, I'll pay you in different draws. When you hit 50%, I'll pay you at 50%, 75%. But again, that's with the guys doing the rehab is how I usually do that. With a painter, if he needs some money, I might pay him a little, maybe $200 to get started day one. It should only take him 2 to 3 days. So I'm not giving him draws there. But when I'm done, right then we pay him off. We'll write a check, whatever it is. Some want cash. To us, it just doesn't matter. But I pay him when it's done. But I pay him after I walk through the property, and I tell him that.
Mm-hmm.
I have to walk through, and I'm going to be the one doing the quality control check, the QC check.
Yep.
And once that's all done with and they pass that, I do not pay them and say, oh, by the way, you got to retouch this. And they say, well, I'll come back tomorrow and get it. And I said, well, great. I'll pay you tomorrow when you
Yep.
come back, because they will
Exactly.
not come back. So
100%.
you
Yeah.
got to keep that in mind. Protect your money. This is a business, so you got to protect yourself. And a few other things I do. So I mentioned Sherwin-Williams. Contractors in your neighborhood, stop and talk to them. Ask them if they work with property management companies,
Yep.
because those are the ones you want. You don't want to, I also don't want to stop and I'll ask the guy, are you the owner? The guy doing the work? Yeah, I'm the owner. I don't want the guy that drives the truck. He's got 5 different crews. He doesn't work in the crew. They got overhead. They drive the nice fancy truck. They got a lot of overhead. I want the guy, it's maybe him and maybe another worker, but usually just him is who I'm looking for. A
Yeah.
guy with a truck, not an escort. You know what I mean? He's got to have something he can do work with.
Yep.
He's got to have his own tools. It's just things you can look at, but that's what I look for. Guys in the neighborhood working on your neighbor's properties, because your neighbors trust them. So hopefully you can.
Sure.
The other thing is Nextdoor. There's a great app called nextdoor.com you can download. The cool thing about that is it's only your neighborhood. So you can put on there, does anybody know a good plumber, handyman, whatever, and it's your neighbors, and they will tell you, yeah, this guy, everybody loves to give recommendations. Tell them I said, tell them I recommended you, right? That's, they always want to say.
Yep.
Um, that's a great app. And then the other thing I do is I create an album in my phone called Contractors. And anytime I'm driving, I'll see a painter, a plumber, anything. I'll take a picture of the vehicle with the name and the number. And
Yep.
I just throw that picture into that folder. Even if I don't need them, I want to be like 5 contractors deep.
Yep.
Because one day you're going to be, your painters are the first ones always to flake out on you, and they just disappear.
Yeah.
Don't get mad about it, because we've had painters that have just vanished. And, I've told my wife, like, well, listen, I know how this works, that they'll come back.
Yeah.
And sure enough, a year and a half later, we're using them again. So we didn't scream at them or yell at them or whatever. We just know, hey, that's just how they are. They didn't owe us any money because we were very careful with it. But, so don't ever create a bad relationship, because you might need those people again in the future. But if you got 5 different painters already in your phone, now you can call those people up right away and find the next contractor. And again, Lowe's, the Pro Desk at Lowe's, you can ask people there as well, and they'll give you advice on contractors as well.
Yeah, that's good. I've always loved utilizing referrals, but I took the referrals out of context originally. Like I would use a referral by asking a friend, and then I come to find out, like, well, they only used them once, or they
Yeah.
they don't use them regularly. It's not their main person. And so you need to, if you're going to use a referral, it needs to be like their main guy that they use regularly, that they get a lot of money from and so forth, and that they don't want to let them down.
Yeah.
That's the type of referrals that really add the most strength and value, in my opinion.
And you got to be careful with referrals too, because you're getting a referral from a homeowner.
Sure.
That could be, this guy just built them a $50,000 kitchen. Well, for me, I can't pay that kind of money. He might be fantastic, but I can't. I would never make any money. So that might be.
So get that referral from the investors, other investor
Yeah,
friends. Yeah.
those are better. I just had a referral for my personal home from a friend of mine, and the 2 guys show up. We're just going to have them hang blinds. I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
We just bought this house, the one I'm in now. We just moved to St. Pete, just bought the house. And I'm like, yeah, we'll have these guys hang blinds. I also wanted a cabinet moved over and a microwave installed above the stove. And the guy told
50
me,
grand later, huh?
well, no, the price seemed okay, but the guy said, well, we're not carpenters. So I think we could. I'm like, what do you mean you're not carpenter? Aren't you handyman? Well, yeah, but we're not carpenters. I'm like, that's the definition of a handyman. So
yeah.
they didn't have a chop saw to cut the blinds. They told me, we can't cut those blinds. I'm like, that's how they're designed, to be cut. And
Yeah.
I said, you know what? How much do I owe you? It cost me $210, because that's the way we are.
Yeah.
They were there for whatever, how many hours. I said, listen, I'm going to pay you. You guys I'll finish it myself.
Yeah.
And I hung the blinds myself, but then I hired another guy to do the cabinets and all that. And it worked out great. But you got to know too, you got to cut ties quickly.
Yep.
Like right away, that guy was giving me red flags. People will tell you, that they're not, or if they'll they'll tell you who they are, right? Like the
Yep.
guy said, I'm not a carpenter.
Yep.
Okay, then
What are you?
I
Yeah.
should not let him work on my cabinets.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I also had a plumber. It's a drain stack. If you ever look at the outside of a house, I know you know, but some people might not. You'll see a stack sticking out of the roof. That's how your
Sure.
plumbing system breathes, right? It needs to breathe. When you flush the toilet, water needs to suck in and it just breathes.
Yeah.
The plumber cut that stack. He
Just
deleted it.
removed it.
He just deleted, yeah, cut where it tied into the stack and ran the plumbing to the kitchen sink.
So it smelled good, huh?
I was I mean that right there, like I looked at it and went, now I know that's wrong. And this is the thing too for anybody listening. Common sense. Just think about common sense. They built this house in 1955 like that. He just cut that. There's something wrong with that, right? Now I knew it was wrong, but if you just look at that and go, they built the house this way and he's doing it another way. And I said, you know what? You're done. I appreciate your time. Here's how much we owe you. We brought in a plumber, a real plumber, because that guy wasn't a plumber. He was a handyman, and we had him fix it, which cost us a little more money, but it's done right. And, so just use some common sense and look at their work. You don't have to know everything, but you can Google it too,
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes it's just worth its weight in gold by hiring on the professionals and not having the headache or the mess and kind of the waste in time. But like you said, when you're speaking with contractors or handyman or whatever their trade is, they will tell you the clues. And so do not try to make exceptions. Really try to cut things off quickly and move forward, gracefully. Because in the past I felt like, well, I worked so hard to get you here. Like, can we just try to make this happen? And being lenient is not going to serve you. It's going to be a mess and it's going to be bigger and cost more. It's going to be a headache.
Your leniency is exactly, you're right. And some people might think, oh, that sounds terrible. Well, then you're in the wrong business. It's the same thing with tenants and contractors.
Yep.
Like you have to follow the rules or you're going to get in trouble.
Yep.
And here's another good for a contractor. You're going to run into this, especially if you're brand new to this, you're just getting started in real estate. You're going to notice that contractors are sick all the time or in the hospital all the time. All my contractors, I'm in the hospital. I'm like, how the hell are you always in the hospital?
Yeah.
The other thing, so that's something to look out for. You need to cut ties if that persists, because people just, if you don't hound them, they won't show up and work on your projects. The other thing I try to avoid too are the people that are overly Christian. And that might sound weird, but I've noticed the people want to tell me what a great, I'm such an honest person and I'm, God bless you. And, the Lord be with you. And I'm so honest and want to bring their religion into it. I'm a Christian.
Ooh, yeah.
But when they want to go overboard like that. So because I would think, oh, this guy, I'll give him the work because he's a good Christian. He's trustworthy and he won't screw me over. Those are the ones that usually screw me over. So
wow, I've never experienced that so far, but that is, I can imagine, people taking advantage of it. That's crazy.
Yeah, you let your guard down, like, oh, this guy's like, oh, he's a good guy. He just told me what a great guy he is. Jeffrey Dahmer was a great guy too, I think, right?
Yeah. Oh man, that's deep. I like that. So Grant, talk to me. As far as somebody out there that wants to, level up and start, instead of playing around in the residential space and actually want to get to some smaller multifamily buying apartment buildings, what any recommendations that you would tell them? Resources, lead flow, going after certain deals in which markets?
Yeah, I would say first I got a course on it, apartmentbuyingblueprint.com. That's a great way if you want to get all that information. Or if you want to piecemeal it, you can watch my content at Grant Warrington Instagram or at Grant Warrington YouTube. But first you got to pick your area. And I always tell people, invest where you know. So first of all, your backyard. If you can't do that, because there's going to be somebody on this call saying, I live in Manhattan. Yeah. Then push out. Right? Push out farther. Look at New Jersey. Wherever you can, you got to push out. If you can't do that, then where do your parents live? Where'd you go to college? Where do you vacation? Where do you own another rental in? Like those are areas that well, and those are places I would go to.
Yeah. And if you
Um,
can't do that, then look in the mirror and realize you're just coming up with a bunch of excuses because
yeah, then quit.
there's people like you and me out
Yeah,
there doing it nationwide every single day where we are nothing special. If we
no,
can do it, I'm a misfit from New Jersey. Like by all
yeah.
means, if I can do it, you can do it.
100%. And
Yeah.
there's people with a lot less than you and I that have a
Yeah.
lot more than you and I.
That's right.
I got friend, and it's so funny. I always say this: the American dream is live and well today. Just Americans aren't doing it.
Yeah.
I have buddies
So
that are
true.
from in GoBundance that are from other countries that couldn't speak English when they came here. They're
Yep.
multimillionaires today, doctors, lawyers. It's incredible. I listen to their stories and I'm like, it just blows me away. Like the American dream's alive and well, and those are the kind of guys that are doing it, that
Yeah.
are hustling. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So yeah, just excuses will kill you. But
Yeah.
you got to level up out of single family rentals. The people on Instagram that are teaching you, oh, buy single family homes, they've already leveled up to buying small apartments. They just forgot to tell you, is what I always tell people,
Yeah.
because you'll notice those people will say, oh, I bought a boutique hotel. That's a multifamily property.
Yeah.
Why are they buying boutique hotels now? Because they realized, shit, there's not a lot of wealth here in these small apartments, or I would have to do, or single family rentals. I'd have to do so many of them. It would be exhausting.
Yes.
Um, so you got to level up if you're going to build wealth. If you don't want to buy 5 houses, that's cool. Buy them, pay them off, and that's your retirement plan. That's cool. That's not who this message is for. It's
Yeah.
for the guy that wants to live an extraordinary life or live life on your terms,
Yep.
and level up and get out of the single family rental rat race and get into small apartments, because those are the properties that baby boomers own. It could be second generation as well. And they probably don't take very good care of the property, the apartments, rents are low, and they're just like, I just want out of it.
Yeah.
And those are the people that you can find those off market. You can buy them with seller financing because they don't owe any money on them. And you just build a relationship with the owners, and those are the properties you need to target.
I love that. That's so good. Any locations that you're focusing on right now?
No, not really. We've just, like I said, we've been a year in Florida.
Yeah.
Step one was buying this house,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I'm not positive if it's going to be in Florida where we start looking.
Okay.
But for me, my biggest focus, so my wife handles all of our real estate now. She's taken over all the property management, all the rehabs. She does everything. So my focus now is YouTube. So
Yeah.
just recently, like a month ago, I took my focus off Instagram, and now I'm more focused on YouTube. So that's what I'm looking to do right now.
I love it. That's awesome, man. Um, Man, this was a wealth of knowledge. I feel very blessed to have you on today. What you just gave almost an hour of your time. Anything that myself or the listeners could do to give back to you, and then want to hear about how we can get a hold of you.
Yeah, just go to my YouTube channel and subscribe there, man. And if you like some of the videos, check them out, like them, comment, let me know, and I'll get back with you. And to get in touch with him, you can DM me on Instagram. I'll respond. It's me. If you got any questions, I can't write you a book, but if
Yeah.
you got something quick that I could, I get a lot of people that reach out. I try to answer every single person. So if it's something quick, I could, yeah, I'd love to help.
Cool. What's the YouTube channel and the IG channel?
It's Grant Warrington, at Grant
Okay.
Warrington for both of them.
Perfect.
Everything, TikTok, Facebook, it's all at Grant Warrington.
Love it. Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate your time today. It was great to connect and hear
Yeah.
about your story and excited for your future and what you guys are doing. So, congrats on everything, brother. Guys, you're definitely going to want to reach out to Grant. Wealth of knowledge, just tremendous background and experience in building out his small apartment building portfolio and showing others how to do it as well. So if you're looking to do exactly the same thing, it's a no-brainer. Reach out to him. Wealth of knowledge, and he's got the heart in the right place to be able to guide you and give you any type of education that you need. Otherwise, if you want to get a hold of me, you can always do so on Instagram. It is going to be Brandon Elliott Investments. Otherwise, check out our business page on Instagram. It's Credit Counsel Elite. Make sure you follow us there. And then if you're looking to get more information about Credit Counsel Elite, what the heck we're up to, and how the heck we are actually getting 2, 3, 4, or even $500,000 plus in new funding with members, teaching them how to do it nationwide at 0% interest every 6 months. So if you're interested in that, there's a quick 10-minute video on our website at creditcounselelite.com. After you watch that, it's going to help answer a lot of your questions, but it's also going to spark a few really good questions to ask. And at that point, you can book a free call with us to either jump on with me or one of our team members to go over your situation, where you're at, where you're trying to go, and how to be able to get there. So that is www.creditcounselelite.com. And if you have not already subscribed to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, what are you waiting for? Do that right here, right now. And we will catch you on the next episode. Till next time, God bless. Grant, appreciate you.